Radhanath, are you ready for this?
What?
The wisdom of the sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me, Radhanath Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Radhanath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Krishna. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to the day after. Oh, we had 2 retreats back to back, and today is like the day after. Everybody's a little moving slower. I took a hot shower today, people. I just want to put that out there. My first hot shower in a long time. I needed it. A little under the weather. Something happens after those weekends. You're like, okay, I need a break. Even I do, and I'm the Maha extrovert. And I'm like, I'm going inside. Everybody get out of here. I kicked everybody out, but still, we got some beautiful stragglers. We got Mallory, we got Jiva G and Lex, we got Bhakta Henry's here, and we've got Catherine A, the handstand queen. So we're still here.
It's a good crew.
Still got a crew. Got a crew.
Mallory, I was telling her yesterday, I think she is the most, evolved of us all. Like her consciousness is really.
She is. When you get to know her, you'll see that. She's a very special lady.
Yeah.
We had a good weekend. Being with Radhanath Swami is always like, it just does something to your consciousness. I really loved the show yesterday. Did you, Kostu?
I thought it was an absolutely beautiful show.
We didn't really talk to each other yesterday. We were just like doing our thing, and then you
and me?
left. Yeah.
Not privately.
No, so we didn't talk to each other so much.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Well, anyway, we got to, why don't we do our announcement? I want to talk about this weekend a bit and our time with Radhanath Swami. And also let's talk about, today is really the first day of Kartik, right? It's like
we got to
last
talk
night.
about that too. Before we get there, though, we got to give a big shout out to Radhe. Rachel got initiated.
That's right. That was that part of the weekend.
She got initiated at Super Soul Farm. How cool is that?
Came out of nowhere. It's like, not like that it came out of nowhere, but we didn't know it was going to happen until
I knew it was going to happen.
Oh, I
knew. I asked him.
Oh, look at you, Radhanath. You're getting tricky.
Well, but he wanted to do it.
No, I'm not saying that you twisted his arm. I'm just saying,
he would have said no.
Kept a secret.
I just said it would be good for community building, and
gotcha.
She's dedicated her life to working on this place. We go and give big congratulations.
It's wonderful.
That's
a very beautiful name.
And I said,
it's a very beautiful name.
Radha Priti means the love of Radha. Now we also have somebody else in the community named Radha Priti. So I thought, well,
you freaked out. You freaked out for a
second. I said, Maharaj. There's already someone named Radha Priti, that's part of our community, Radha and Damodar from Tucson. And he said to me something very beautiful. He said, I prayed sincerely, and this is the name that came out. And it's the most beautiful name. I said, that's a very beautiful answer, Maharaj.
All right.
And
let's
he said,
stick with
also, there are 3 Radhanaths.
That's right. I knew one of them.
I knew one too, yeah.
Yeah, three of Srila Prabhupada's disciples that are named Radhanath.
He also said, Radha Priti is nobody's name. It's Radha's name.
That's right.
You are Dasi. You are the servant of that love of Radha.
That's a good point.
That's another good point.
Okay, but we got announcements, Radhanath, probably to make, right? Mara, you got announcements over there?
Yeah, we have a Back to Recovery group meeting today at 1 p.m. and an asana class with Zeb for our Patreon members at 4 p.m. And if you haven't bought tickets yet for Genevieve Harrison's show, you can buy them and use the discount code CREW30. And that's at JohnnyBmusic.com.
Why the crew? Right. What's with the? Is it the Wisdom of the Sages crew? Is that what that means?
Crew.
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Straight edge crew.
Yeah.
That is an interesting coupon code for us, but
crew.
Well, I also want, because Jiva Life Coaching's here, and we came off this incredible BRG retreat. They're doing one in Switzerland. I just want to announce that the BRG Swiss retreat is November 24th through 27th. And I think Bobby Marchand's going to be there too. That's the plan.
Huh.
We're praying for that. But how do they find out about that, Jiva G? But
You're asking Jiva? Oh, she's in the room.
I'm
with
asking her.
okay,
She's just
okay.
talking, and I have to translate.
They have a website, BRG website.
It's on the website. There we go. BhaktiRecoveryGroup.com. Okay.
There you go.
That's great news.
It's a fact. I mean, that was one of the big things. I mean, I came up there after as that retreat was winding down. But that was part of the whole thing is, I want to talk about this weekend. I mean, I don't even know where to start, right? There was all the wonderful people that we met, a lot of people that I've met for the first time. That was real joy to meet for the first time. And a lot of people that are close friends, and seeing them again was really great. There's the time spent with Radhanath Swami, which for me was it was a really interesting experience on different levels. And then there's the Kartik and there's Rasa Leela and all that. Where do you want to start, Ragnar?
Well, just that time, the stuff. I got to spend a lot of time with Radhanath Swami. And then also, but even if you didn't, just the time that he was giving, just truthfully, just his presence there, it sort of like lifts you. I can't describe it. It just lifts you. And then what to speak of hearing him sing lifts you. And then what to speak of hearing him speak lifts you. It's like you win all the way around whenever you find saintly people to associate with. I mean, that's our food in Bhakti. We want to find people who are just like high caliber people. And the beautiful thing about Bhakti, it's not like we deify a man or a woman and then we're just these plebeians, these little like trolls. You like that word, plebeian? You ever heard it? Go look it up.
A plebe.
But we are these. But the hope in Bhakti is that you have the ability to grow spiritually. You're not just mud forever. You have the ability to also climb a spiritual ladder. And but we want people who have already blazed that trail ahead of us to hear from, to learn from, just in the same way as you have a jiu-jitsu black belt and they're teaching you and you're new to the game and how do you do it? And tell me your tricks of the trade. And am I overworking out? Should I go twice a week? Should I just go 3 days a week? What's the best way to progress? And you get someone who's expert at this path, giving you firsthand experience. It's so important to get these people in your life, to keep their company, to see them in person. We were really fortunate.
I had this feeling, and I expressed it, and I think you said you were feeling the same thing. As Radhanath Swami arrived on Saturday afternoon, and then you and I were in the room with him. We sat down with him, and we began talking. And I had this. It was unique that he's a person that we've been so close with for so long, and but we haven't really seen him in 2.5 years, except briefly in June. Right? Kind of like real briefly in June.
I saw him at LA Rath Yatra.
Okay, well, you saw him there too. But I said, when I was sitting in front of him, I was thinking, I've spent so little time with you over these past few years, but I feel like sitting with you, it feels like that time was there was no missing gap. And I said, because you're in our thoughts so much every day.
That's a good point. That's a great point. It's like the disciple or the student is meditating on how can we serve Guru today. When I do my worship in the morning, there's a picture of the Guru on the altar. So you're thinking of doing this worship by your permission, and we're thinking of how to please the Guru. So the mind of the Guru is always, the desires of the Guru are always in the heart of the disciple. So I say, Maharaj, it almost seems like we were associating just yesterday or something.
Yeah.
Because it's always on our thoughts. And I think Radhanath Swami would like it better like this. And this is the way we train ourselves. It's not, otherwise, who else is our director? My desires, my tongue. My tongue is my master, right? My belly is my master. My genitals are my master. Who is my master out there? My greed is my master. Somebody's going to be your master. You got to choose your master. You got to serve somebody, Kastuba.
Right. And you know,
It
but
may
even
be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you got to serve somebody.
thank you for that, Raghunath. And but even like, you know, you could phrase it that way. You could just phrase it like it was also just like the three of us sitting together again, doing what we've done for so long, which is just kind of like making plans in life together, you know, like you know, obviously for him, he is our like he's like our mentor, but he's so generous in the way that he relates with us. It's kind of like, okay, let's sit down, let's talk. And you know, we had the chance to do that on Saturday, and then yesterday morning, it was wonderful to sit in the room with him again and discuss like Jiva G came in there. We were discussing, you know, and Doyle Garunga from the Bhakti Center was there and discussing, you know, like, hey, let's get Bhakti recovery going in the Bhakti
Just
Center.
scheming different ways to spread
Yeah,
the holy name with
it's
him.
such a joy.
It was exciting. It was
Yeah.
really, really exciting. Yeah. And everything we're like doing today was also part of a scheme
Yeah.
months ago or years ago. You know, it's very, very exciting.
And one of the highlights it can be shared with everyone was yesterday's interview you did with Q&A you did with Maharaj. You know, we got a message from one of our listeners, Tracy Saravallo. And she just wrote, she said, I just wanted to comment on how absolutely spectacular Sunday's episode was with Radhanath Swami. I cried so many times. Thank you for sharing this with us. And it was a fact, like the whole house in there was like crying like left and right.
Everybody's crying. The whole house full of tears.
It was a beautiful interview. So please check out that. What was that, episode 856, Mara?
Yeah, that's right. 856.
Yeah, really beautiful episode. Beautiful just to hear him. He just speaks on a beautiful, the depth that he speaks with is so special. So anyway, it was wonderful to speak with him. I got to attend. Now let's maybe we switch over now to like discussing what yesterday and today were, Raghunath. You know,
What are they?
well,
Monday,
astrologically.
Astrologically, the full moon.
Yesterday was a full moon.
It starts the Rasa Purnim. The Purnim is complete, right? The full moon.
Yeah.
And you know, in a lunar calendar, it's broken down to a 30-day month where you have the full moon, and then it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller until it gets to the Amavasya or the new moon. And that 15-day period is called a fortnight. And the month starts on the full moon day. And then the waxing moon or the growing moon till the next fortnight, till the next full moon. And so this is that special month, starting with when Krishna dances with the gopis, the Rasa Purnim.
That's right. So last night, yeah, we is the night that Krishna dances in the Rasa Leela, and this month, and it kind of kicks off the month of Kartik, which is
magical month.
What's that? Magical month.
It's a magical month.
Yeah.
It's like it's like double coupons. You know, it's more than double coupons. Imagine if you go to the supermarket, they're like, yeah, a coupon for 10 cents. And it's like, and you go in there, it's like a million times coupons. What do you mean? It's just like that coupon for 10 cents is now worth $400 or something like that. That's what it's like. Everything that you do is magnified by 1,000. Everything you do, every act of bhakti that you do is magnified by 1,000 from the full moon to the next full moon. And so everybody gets a little bit more focused on their spiritual contribution or their spiritual life or their spiritual meditation. So this is the month to turn it up, people. Whatever you do, if you chant one round of japa on your malas every day, chant 2. That's like chanting 2,000 rounds. You got that under your belt. Okay. Everything's multiplied by 1,000. Do a little bit more. It leverages it. So the return on investment in Kartik is unbelievable. Who wouldn't take advantage of this?
Okay.
It's like those credit cards that give away 1,000 miles. Take 100,000 miles. No, skip the annual fee. It's like that.
Raghunath, are you just desperate to be like Crazy Eddie or something like that?
You can do it. But that's what it is.
It is. But, you know, I'll tell you something, though. Even if it wasn't, like, that's our faith that's what that is, right? That's our faith. But even if it wasn't, the mood created at this time because people are focusing more. In other words, the idea is we got to set some time aside in our life where we bring our minds to what is most important, right? Like, and we got a nugget, and this nugget came from, you see, Radhanath Swami, last night at the Bhakti Center was
He's
awesome.
the nugget master.
Well, yeah. And last night at the Bhakti Center was, for me, it felt this weekend was a bunch of these going back feelings because spending the time with Radhanath Swami. But it was going back to like, it was like a full house at the Bhakti Center, which I haven't experienced since pre-COVID. The place was very full. It was the first night. It was the anniversary of the installation of the Gaurachandra deity there, the deity of Lord
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
deity.
there.
So you came back. Just if people don't
Yeah.
know. So we had this whole program, a whole weekend. And then Christina just drove straight back with Maharaj and went to the whole second program. As I
Yeah.
saw you on the video at night, I was like, oh my God. Because I was, after everybody
You're watching
left,
the video.
I was like, okay, everybody get out, get out, get out. So first of all, it's sweet to say goodbye to everybody, but I was just exhausted
Tired,
and ready to crumble. And you went back to a whole other Hare Krishna program there. I was quite impressed.
Impressed with me. What else was I gonna? How would I
Impressed
not
with
go?
you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. But so Radhanath Swami spoke there, and he spoke on the Rasa Leela, and he spoke on Kartik, and he shared this one nugget. You want to read it, Raghunath?
Sure.
Moved me when he
Sure.
said it.
Yeah, it was a good one.
He was talking about the world nowadays and where we're at. It was kind of like a current context, but it's just something that speaks for the spiritual, material existence in general.
Okay, he said, what is sacred is considered to be ordinary.
Mm-hmm. And
what is ordinary is considered to be so important.
Okay.
Insert whatever you want in that, right? What is sacred is considered to be ordinary.
Yeah.
Like, what would you put in there?
Well, okay, so that's my point, is that in this month of Kartik, we're focusing especially on Krishna's Lila, right? Krishna's pastimes. Here now, to most people, they hear these stories. They think, maybe they think that culture has some nice storytelling kind of, tradition, right? They might even, we were talking when I was speaking over the weekend. At the retreat, I was speaking about this, how different people understand what Krishna Lila is. What does the word Lila mean, Raghunath?
It means their play or their pastimes,
or
their activities, their transcendental activities.
Yeah, it's you could say like divine play, right? That in the theology here in Bhakti Yoga, particularly in this Krishna Bhakti tradition, is that God is not really, the controlling and the creation and all that kind of stuff is not really his interest. His interest is in play. It's in love, and love expressed through pastimes, through play. And so in this month we meditate. That becomes the object of the meditation of the Bhakti yogis, right? It's where we consciously bring our minds, and there's a transformation that comes through that. So some people look at those stories and they think it's just silly, like these primitive people got these
silly little stories. They may have some lesson in there somewhere.
Well, they may not even think, some like even are lower than that, right? Like there's nothing to learn there. Anything there is just backwards and primitive and so on.
Sure.
And some people might say, okay, they have a storytelling tradition and there's some nice, morals to learn through it, maybe some values that one can gain through it. Some insights into life are told through those cute stories.
Sure.
Right. But that's not how the Bhakti yogis see it. The Bhakti yogis say, there's very subtle spiritual truths being spoken through these stories, and on a deeper level, there's like a revelation. It's like being kind of shown through this that there's a state of consciousness that we're meant to be existing in. There's a state of consciousness that is natural to us and that is most blissful to us, and it's revealed through these stories. You can meditate on them and it will arise in you. So that this consciousness, how can one could ask himself, am I reaching my full potential in terms of my consciousness? Am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Is my life meaningful? Do I have meaningful relationships? And what the Bhakti Yogi, the Krishna Bhakti tradition is saying is that what's going on in our lives is kind of a warped reflection of the consciousness and the experience that we're meant to be having eternally.
Mm.
And in order to get back there, you've got to start to clear out all of the junk in your mind, all the stuff that we consider so important that is really just so ordinary. And you have to bring your mind to what's extraordinary, to what's most sacred, right?
I like
And
that.
you like that? And if you can clear the space in your mind, give up your pettiness, give up all the silliness, all the stuff that you're caught up in. If you can move through this world being very kind to others, you're going to have smoother relationships. You're going to clear up a lot of space. If you can live relatively simply in this world, you're not going to be so distracted. You can clear up space in your mind, and you can begin to bring it to what is considered in this tradition to be the spiritual realm, right? Where relationships are on a completely another level, where the spiritual truths are revealed through these relationships. And if you can do that, that consciousness will arise in you. And on the really esoteric level, we're saying not only does it arise in your consciousness, it reveals itself, and then it summons you to take part in that realm, right?
Summons me.
It's summoning
Summons
you,
me.
right?
Come forth, Radhanath.
So yeah, and this is important because when Radhanath is telling his like you like to do your sweet baby Krishna storytelling and so on. It's more than just. It's got everything that a beautiful storytelling tradition should have, but it's got more. It's got more, yeah.
Well, the quote is great. What is sacred is considered to be ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And what is ordinary, the next part is the converse is really true. What is ordinary is considered to be so important. I was thinking about, okay, like what's so important people in culture right now? It's like you think like things like soccer or football games or something like that.
Very important.
Where it's like, it's very important. I got to do this. And, where else do you go out and paint your body the color of your team? And then you create like, and then you go, and then you get really
pay a lot of money to go there.
What does we give a lot of money? These guys got treated like princes and princesses. And then and then there's like, you create a war over it. You like the other team? Are you kidding? Let's create, and the fans get in wars, and there's riots. It's like a whole thing.
That's where you're getting really ridiculous.
Like elevated to the highest thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, then when it's so sacred, we just neglect. It just gets put in the back burner, and that's why sometimes you got a little dig for sacredness.
Mm-hmm.
And getting us back to this sacred month that we just entered yesterday of Kartik, this is the month that we can become archaeologists and we can dig deep within ourselves. We're inner archaeologists, Mara, write that down. Inner archaeologists. We're digging for the gold, and it's inside. And it's a very, very focused month where it's all magnified. And wherever we're at on our spiritual path, do a little bit more this month. And it works good with a vow, a commitment. From commitments, things change. That's true with anything. If you want to start lifting weights, make a commitment to do it every day. If you want to be a better, artist, do it every day. For this month, add a little bit more of your spiritual life, even if it's 5 minutes every day. Make a little commitment, write it down.
And I would say this, Radhanath, and if it's consistent with your faith, make it about Krishna, right? Like whether it's reading a chapter of Gita every day, like we're talking about on Saturday, whether it's, reading a little of, what was that, Radhanath? That's how you break your glasses. That was smooth. You're blowing your nose. You're blowing your nose and your glasses went flying. That's cool. But you can bring it to Krishna's Leela. You can sing the Damodarastakam, this beautiful song. You can Google that and find that. And you go into that consciousness, every time I start speaking, you start looking at your phone. Please, man, stay with me.
No, I
need you.
You know what? Because I wanted to. There was an important loss in our community, and I want to just bring that up.
What's that?
There's a pause. Who's that?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
There was a death yesterday, on an auspicious day. It's an auspicious day to there's holy days to be born and holy days to leave. But did you know that the famous South Indian crocodile? You remember that story?
Oh,
the divine crocodile Babia, which was guarding the Sri Anantapur Lake Temple in Kerala, is no more.
I've heard of that crocodile.
Yesterday on the auspicious night, this is a true story. He used to come in from that lake and have darshan every day. Listen to this. The divine crocodile lived in the temple's lake for 70 years. Babia only eats temple prasad, which is made from rice and jaggery. That is like a hardened molasses, and eats only temple prasad and does not harm anyone, including the fish in the lake.
What a sweet crocodile.
And he left his body yesterday. There's a picture of him. I follow Finding Temples, if you follow that on Instagram. But I've been studying about Babia the crocodile for a long time now. He was a very mystical. You never know who you're dealing with, even with animals.
Okay, Raghunath,
I just was touched this morning when I found that out. And
you could have brought that up at the beginning, Raghunath. You could have brought that up at the beginning.
I know. I didn't want to forget it because I feel like it's important to recognize these things. So I'm sorry.
No,
interrupting.
Okay.
All right. Back to Shard Purney.
Okay, great. So why don't we talk about this a little bit, Raghunath? Why don't we talk about this month? Is called the month of Damodar, which means especially there's this pastime where Krishna gets bound by the love of his mother. But also, like last night was the Sharda Purnima means the full moon in.
And Shara is the month of Sharad.
But in the fall, in the autumn.
The autumn.
Full moon.
Yeah.
Which I guess in all cultures has some meaning, like what do they call it? The harvest moon.
Harvest moon, yeah.
Right. And so it's such a often misunderstood, but such like it's seen as the very essence, of the highest truth. That I was just speaking about consciousness. Like again, we can ask ourselves, how deep are my relationships? How meaningful is my life? How blissful is my life? Or is it full of anxiety? Is it full of mundane, tedious kind of experiences and so on? And can it be transformed? And what is its potential? And if there is a potential for like bliss, like deep meaning, like pure love, how do I get there? And what the Bhakti Yoga, the Krishna Bhakti tradition here is saying is that you can't access it through the material senses. If you think you're going to reach that state of consciousness through the material senses, you're not. But there's something spiritual to bring your consciousness to. And Krishna's Leela becomes like the ultimate focal point, right?
Sure.
To bring it to.
Well,
and we do it through these Leelas. And Rasa Leela's the ones that's the most special,
yesterday the class, you left early, so I gave a class for you, and I was saying, well, what is the point of meditation? What are we doing with meditation? Where are we going with meditation? Where are we going with the concept of mindfulness, which is really in the public conversation? I got to be more mindful. I got to be more thoughtful before I do. But what is mindfulness anyway? It's like you could be a criminal and be very mindful, right? You could be doing very horrible things to people in a mindful way. So we just don't want mindfulness, and we just don't want to empty our mind because we notice that our mind is full of noise. Our mind is full of static. Our mind is full of, things to do, our hopes and desires and passions. Emptying the mind is not the goal. Just like if you were to go to purchase a house, and there's like, yes, this is a lovely 3,000 square foot house, and it's just like an empty house. The goal isn't an empty house. Okay, I get it. Your house is cluttered. Your house is a mess. Your house has a leak. Fix it all up, empty it out. Then what?
Then fill it back up with something better.
Fill it up with some love. Get some love. Get the kids running around. Bake them some pancakes. Whatever it is. Put some love in that house.
There you go.
This is bhakti. It's not just emptying it. It's not clearing the floor. It's not just vacuuming the carpet. That too.
You get some peace with that, right? You'll get some peace with that. Once the house, right?
You get some peace. But it's not the goal. The goal is we don't want a meditation practice, right? Where you're saying, okay, for 20 minutes a day, I meditate. Or for an hour and a half a day, I go to church or synagogue or whatever. I don't want a practice where I do that once a week. In bhakti, we want every breath to be a spiritual breath, every thought, even in our workplace, we want to think that I'm contributing somehow to something bigger. That's how life becomes rich. That's how life becomes fulfilled. That's how we find joy to wake up on Monday morning and say, yes, I'm contributing to something bigger. And that might be either directly, or it might be consciously, it might be financially, but you feel like your work and your focus, you can keep divinity at the center of your life. We don't just want to be mindful for the sake of being mindful. That's boring. Now I'm going to pick up my cup of coffee and put it to my lips. Who cares? Who cares? You're a mindful eater. Good for you. You know what I mean? Let's put some love in our life, people. That's what bhakti is. It's the positive. It's not just like dealing with the negative. It's just adding the positive. And so this is where Krishna's beautiful form and face. I gave everybody a little homework, and you can try this at home if you like. Find the most adorable picture of Krishna you have, and everybody's got one adorable picture of Krishna. Keep it by your bedside if you can, or take a little screenshot of it, take a photo of it or something, or find one online, just Google search, sweet baby Krishna or something like that. Find some adorable picture of Radha and Krishna.
Doesn't have to be baby Krishna, right?
Doesn't have to be
8 pound, 16 ounce Krishna.
He is quite charming.
Okay.
And then keep that by your bedside. And every night before you go to bed, sit in bed and look at it and close your eyes and try to imagine that. So I get it. We clean the house, but then you stare and you fill the house with divinity, a divine form, divine face. And then you close your eyes and you see if you can picture that in your mind. Okay, I got it wrong. He actually has 2 peacock feathers. I close my eyes again. Okay, he's got yellow garments. And you try to see that in your mind.
Meditation techniques of Radhanath. Interesting.
Thank you. This is my new book, How to Meditate. And then just close and then really picture it in your mind and let that be your last vision of the night as you go to bed.
Look at you.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Great little simple practice.
Well,
That
now
way
what
you
you're
can- That way you can bring it with you wherever you go. You could just be right here, close my eyes. There's that picture.
Well, that's called meditation on the rupa, right? On the form.
On the form.
Right. So we meditate on
Nama, Rupa, Lila.
and you missed
Nama, Rupa,
one.
Lila.
Guna.
Guna and Guna.
Yeah.
Guna, Rupa, Nama.
Nama Rupa Guna Lila.
Lila. Yes.
So the name of God, you could just meditate on that. You could spend extra time meditating on God's name. Just hear that sound of that name. Bring your mind to that name. The idea is, the ordinary stuff we've given it great importance, right? What we're calling ordinary it's the external energy of Krishna, right? The things of this world, in one sense, we can, unless it's even the things of this world, if they're reconnected to that original root, they become spiritual. But if they're disconnected, and we absorb our minds, it doesn't deliver that state of consciousness that we're all hankering for, right? The way that we get our hankering, the way that we fulfill that hankering is by bringing the mind to this internal energy, the spiritual energy that's found in Krishna's name, is found in his form, is found in his qualities, and is found in his pastimes. This is from a commentary from Prabhupada, purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.10. He says the Lord's pastimes, the Lila, in the internal potency, are displayed in his activities of Vrindavan, right? But his external potential works are directed in his features of Lord Vishnu, right? Like taking care of this world, the creation, the maintenance, the stuff when we think about God, that kind of stuff, right? But we take great interest in that Lila, in Krishna's activities of the spiritual realm. It sounds kitschy to most people, unless you're unless you're
Sounds
serious
kitschy.
about
Sounds
this.
kitschy. Sounds cartoony.
Yeah, it sounds cartoony.
You
over
see all these
this
pictures
play.
of Krishna, it's sort of like cartoony.
Yeah.
But Krishna's not a cartoon. Krishna's a real interactive being who actually works with you. He's real. Krishna's real. He's actually in your life. He knows everything that you need. He knows when you want to back off. He's okay with that because that's part of love. Love doesn't mean you're all needy, right?
Yeah.
It means you back off. You let people find their own pace. And then when you're eager to approach Krishna, he's there and eager for you.
He's
even
calling.
more so.
Yeah, he's calling all the time. It was interesting. Maharaj was in this. Let's talk a little bit about the Rasa Leela, Radhanath, because that was last night, right? That was such an important, beautiful. We consider it that if you took all of the Vedic literature is the meditation of Srila Vyasadev, this incredible, divinely empowered yogi, right? Who's sitting up in the Badaka ashram, right?
Yeah.
Sitting up in the Himalayas, up in the mountains. He goes into a deep meditation, and he composes all of the Vedic literature, which is giving guidance on all levels, social guidance, practical guidance, but it's also the deepest spiritual guidance.
Which was previously, the truth is always there, because truth is eternal, and it's eternal. It's true today. It was true 50 years ago. It's true 300 years ago. It's true 1,000 years ago. Truth is eternal. So it's not like he created truth. Truth is for all beings of all religion. It's very, very inclusive. Truth is truth. It's like math. And so he had this inspiration, and if not mission, that now we have to codify this truth. Now we have to, as Kali Yuga progresses, this age we live in, people will get a little duller. I'm living an example of this. I've become completely dull. As I get older, I'm even more dull. But in Kali Yuga, people's memories will be short. They'll be unfortunate. They'll be distracted. They'll be overwhelmed. We think we're moving ahead in the world, but we're really just all addicted to phones. We think this is the pinnacle of evolution. Wrong. We need special calculators to do math. Before, things were just done in their heads. They could figure it out. Before the calculator, they're still mathematicians. We build a shopping mall. Just me and Henry were driving down in Western Mass. We're like, look at what they're building nowadays compared to these beautiful old buildings. They're building a bunch of junk. We think we're evolving. We're just going backwards in time. So Vyasadev had this mystic city of Trikalagyan. He understood the past, present, and the future. Seeing the future and seeing the darkness of times, he's like, this stuff has to be written down, because these guys are going to lose it. They're not going to be able to remember. There's going to be miscommunications. It's like the telephone game, so to speak. You're going to misunderstand what these great masters have taught. Let's codify this. Let's write this down. And he gave it to different masters to pass down through different lineages. All happening in Badarik Ashram and Badrinath in the Himalayas.
So from him comes this vast wealth of literature. I mean, it's unparalleled. For the 4 Vedas, all the Upanishads, 108 Upanishads and more even, the Vedanta Sutra, the Mahabharata, another, many thousands and thousands of verses with the Bhagavad Gita within it. And then 18 Puranas, each with tens of thousands of verses in them. So
you hear these stories, by the way, these stories even sound like, really? He knew all that? Come on. But you know what? There's like these prodigy people walking around today. And if you meet them, you're like, what? How do you do that? They're these special, empowered beings. Now, some people are empowered and they have these prodigy-like tendencies for completely mundane things. But he was like a off the charts spiritual version of that, where they can just remember all these things. They know exactly how to orchestrate it, how to compile these, and how to disseminate them.
And so now, thank you. Now, if you take that body of literature, which is any objective study of it, whether you invest your faith in it or not, but any objective study of that literature, one has to walk away very impressed.
You got to be like, this is interesting.
It's brilliant. It's poetic. It's beautiful. It's fascinating. It's got a very
poetic. On top of that, it's dense, poetic.
It's got a very dense of consistent philosophy. Whether you invest your faith in it or not, if someone objectively studies the whole thing, you have to be. This is a very unique collection of literature here. This is very special.
And because it all is to lift you up, they call it all yoga, because yoga means to reconnect. So sometimes it's maybe not the highest version of that yoga, but it's to lift you from your material consciousness, which is considered the lowest, where a material consciousness, I'm convinced I'm this Italian, New York, American. I'm not at all. I'm not even a human. I'm a spiritual being that completely forgot. And the whole yoga system is to wake me up from that. So they'll deal with what they'll give for whatever you're dealing with. Okay. You want to evolve a little, we can figure that out. You know, you want to enjoy more in the material world. Let's show you a better way to do it. No, it's not going to go into the neighborhood Irish pub. There's better ways to do it, people. There's ways to get metaphysical pleasure in the higher planets. There's rituals, there's mantras. You got to go inside a little, and eventually it lifts you right out of the material world. And that's what Bhakti Yoga is how can the soul reconnect with divinity. And the culmination of this is this entire month right now.
I've been trying to develop a point for a long time now. Okay.
I'm your purport to your point, man.
Okay. Now let me see if I can just develop it a little. I've been doing it.
Okay, you go one more inch. Ready?
Yeah.
Everything you're saying is so good. I feel like I got a comment on it.
No, everything you're saying is great. I just want to see if I can develop this one point.
Get that point out, man.
So now you have this vast body of this incredibly rich literature, rich on so many levels, but especially spiritually rich, right? And you start to churn it, right? You're churning it. And if you start to churn it, the first, when you churn something, you're getting the essence out of something, right?
Yeah.
Thickening. And so the first stage of that is these teachings on, if you want to be a materialistic person, how you can do that in this world in a pious and effective way, in a better way, right? A lot of great advice on that, right? But if you churn that more, then you get to what's called jnana, like deeper insights into life. That what's the point in trying to enjoy the things of this world? There's something much deeper than that. There's something much more blissful than that. Something that delivers a lot more than that. And that's understanding who you are, that I'm not this body, that the things of this world don't satisfy. I should let go of the things of this world. That's wow. Now you got something really like rich, but you churn it still more, right?
Churn it.
You churn it more, that there's something more to that. There's something more than just like realizing that I am spirit and becoming free of suffering. You churn it more, and then it starts to come to the question of love, right? Like that actually I'm born to love, that actually I have an eternal connection with God and through God with every living being. Let me develop that. And that now you got something very sweet and rich there, right? But you can churn it more, Radhanath. You can keep churning it.
Keep churning.
Keep churning more. You're churning more. And
what's higher than love? What comes out after love?
Because there's different types of love with different levels of intensity.
Loving treasures.
Yeah. And so
higher than love goes
you can love, but you see, because you can love God with reverence, but deeper than that is loving God with an intimate love, like the kind of love that a friend has for another friend, or the kind of love that a lover has, for their partner. So you churn it more and more, and that's when you get to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the cream of all the Vedic literature, right? It's been churned and churned and churned. And when even that 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, which has all the different beautiful relationships of Vrindavan are being described there, the friendships that he has with his cowherd friends running out into the fields and through the forest with all the beautiful. I was telling everyone this morning, it's like maybe it doesn't click with everyone, but like Americans, we don't know cows like they know in India, but like the way that we love our dogs here, they love their cows there, and the cows there are beautiful. Like
they'll come right into the shop. They'll stick their head in the shop, and they don't chase them away. They feed them. They feed the. It drives Americans crazy too when they see that happening. They're like, "What the hell? There's cows just walking in the streets." Like that's like a big. That's like horrible. They're like, no, it's just like let them out, and they're not stray. People, they go back inside at night to some little goshaw.
So when Krishna's running out with his friends, they have it's like all their pets. It's like thousands of beautiful cows that are affectionate and sweet, and they're playing together, and they're enjoying friendship on the deepest, most intimate level. That's the really rich churn stuff. And if you churn that, even the richest it gets is this romantic love that one can experience with God. That's described there through that Rasa Leela. So like when you get to the Rasa Leela chapters of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, you've churned the deepest spiritual content to its very essence. And how does it play out? And we're saying that we're being called all the time. Krishna on the full moon night, standing on the bank of the beautiful Yamuna River, under a beautiful tree, and he starts to play the flute, right? And when that sound of that, this is the most beautiful music in all existence, right? And it's carried through it's his heart. It's the heart, the loving heart of God being blown through his mouth, through the flute, and the sound is carrying out and entering the ears and going directly to the heart of the soul, right? And all those gopis, they respond to that call. They leave behind the things of this world, right? And they rush and they run to the forest to reconnect, in love, in loving service, with their very origin. And that plays out in this Rasa Leela. And really in there's the essence of the deepest truth in life, that they stand before him crying, saying, you know what, the things of this world, we're not interested in those things. All we want is you, right? All we want is to serve you with love. Please accept us.
It's exemplified in this last weekend. It's exemplified here this morning. I'm looking at a bunch of live people here. It's sort of like Krishna's calling us.
Yeah.
And we're here, and everybody's sitting on the floor right here in front of me, and everybody's here on Zoom every day because there's some calling. There's Krishna's flute. They've heard it. There's a taste for it, and they're dropping everything to respond to that call. It's like they're firemen. They're sitting around playing poker, and all of a sudden, and they're like, "Wow!" And how does a fireman do it? They're throwing on their coats. They got one sleeve in, one boot on, jumping down the pole, and that's the gopis. They're running to Krishna. Henry's cruising in here first thing in the morning, pulling in. Jiva G comes in, sort of like groggy, and someone else. Everybody's just getting called immediately to respond to, I want to associate with Krishna now. Now is the time. I want to be here. And they're getting that calling through the course of the day. And when we don't hear that calling, that's the saddest thing in life. We don't even hear that calling anymore.
That beautiful music, right?
It's beautiful music. So the Sages is all about igniting that calling, making that, like, really emphasizing that clarion call of Krishna, that, hey, hear this calling, it's real, and assisting people. That's our job. That's everybody's job that's listening to this. Our job is to assist people to remember who they are. Take out the earplugs.
Thank you. Mic drop.
But that sweet sound of Krishna's flute, that's our calling. We also are ready to drop anything that makes material sense to find sweet Krishna.
Yeah. So try to make this month special. Try to meditate extra time on Krishna's Lila. You can do that by getting the book Krishna, right? The Krishna book, Krishna. It's just called Krishna. But
I'd like to put a challenge out there. If you read a story from Krishna book every day, your life will be happy.
No question.
It's a special magical formula.
It'll transform life. So we got to spend the time. Are you going to be doing any extra special Sweet Baby Krishnas this
Well,
month?
I'd like to, because I'm getting ready to go on pilgrimage. So I for both.
What day do you leave again? What day is it that you leave?
I leave on the 20th.
Okay.
Maritu and a bunch of us, even here on Zoom, are coming.
I'm inviting you to my place, Radhanath. I'm inviting Radhanath Swami, you, and a few others. I'm going to serve you all. I want to serve you all, yeah, before you go.
Okay. How about that? Okay. I'm coming.
And I'm thinking that the 18th might be the day. You know why? You know what October 18th is? You don't know. I'm going to reveal to you.
Govardhan Puja.
No, well, I don't know what day it is in terms of our Vaishnava calendar. But there is an important thing that is related to our Vaishnava practice, but in a more modern context.
More modern context.
October 18th is the day that Srila Prabhupada moved to New York City from Butler, Pennsylvania, right? He landed on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I want to invite you over. I want to invite Radhanath Swami. I want to feed you all. And I want to take you on a little tour to those holy places where Prabhupada first
landed.
Right,
you're going to give us like they have those gangster tours of New York where you go to this is where Al Capone shot. Right?
Well, I can do that in my neighborhood too.
Holy version of that.
Actually, that's part of the thing, because when you go around the corner of my house, is that a hotel, the Majestic? Did I ever show you that?
What happened there?
Lucky Luciano lived there.
Lucky Luciano lived there.
Frank Costello
I got a
lived there.
feeling Lucky Luciano wasn't so lucky.
Well, I suppose, from a spiritual point of view, he wasn't. But Frank Costello got shot in the lobby of that building.
This is
Right.
sad when I bring
That's
the
right. Look where
student
you
down
brought
to
us
my
down.
level. Then it's a sad day.
All right. So I'm not gonna. No, this is gonna be the
Squirreling
pro
off
pod.
on gangsters and mobsters.
This
You
is
were,
gonna
you were
be-
really high there for a
All
moment.
right, let's bring it
I'm
back.
sorry to be the weight on your ankles that dragged
But
you.
this month we can't do that to each other, right? We got to lift each other up.
No, keep it high.
Yeah. So we'll
That's
go.
that's a good one. Keep it high, Mara. Keep it high.
Keep it high. I think that's Jeff Eisenberg's song, right? I want to get high.
Oh yeah, I want to get.
That's a good one. And so we'll go to those places where Prabhupada lived all alone, kind of struggling at that time in his life, right? Struggling to establish himself in New York City. But I'm going to take you around, Raghunath. We're going to do that before you
All right,
go.
let's do this.
All right. But meanwhile, I
Alrighty.
think we got highlights or takeaways from today.
Yeah, we call them goodies.
Takeaways.
Goodie
We call them
go.
takeaways. You may call them goodies, but we don't, Raghunath.
Okay.
All right. The desires of the guru are always in the heart of the disciple.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Keep it in the heart.
It's a magical month of double coupons. Turn it up.
Turn
Double
it up.
coupons. Booyah.
Clear out the junk in your mind to make space for the extraordinary.
Sometimes I think Raghunath's trying to turn Wisdom of the Sages into, what do they call those channels where you just shop on the channels?
The shopping channel.
Yeah.
There's some channels. There's some name for that, like infomercial kind of things or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. You'd be good at it, Raghunath.
QVC.
Huh?
Bundle it.
All right.
Bundle it. I want Krishna, Radha, and all the gopis. People usually purchase Krishna, purchase Radha and the gopis too.
Keep
Let
going,
you-
Mayor.
Let your inner archaeologist dig deep.
Oh yeah, dig deep into the inner
Inner
dig.
archaeologist. We're all inner archaeologists.
Like there's a spiritual scientist. You could be the inner archaeologist, Raghunath.
that could be my new
Think about that one.
Raghunath, the inner archaeologist. No.
Play with it a
Shuji
little
says
bit.
no.
All right,
Okay.
Make Krishna's Leela the ultimate focal point.
there you go.
From daily commitment, things change.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's a shirt that everybody could wear.
It's all right. From daily commitment, things change. I don't know if that one's. Yeah, Harshal Gora's like.
Harshal Gora's looking.
No,
No,
that one's not gonna.
All right.
That
Harshal.
one doesn't fly. It's a thumbs
He's
down.
like my fashion consultant when it comes to t-shirts. He says no.
Okay, I got another try.
It's
How
not
about
just
Krishna's heart comes through the sound of his flute?
It's beautiful thought, but I'm not sure if it works as a shirt.
Okay. Sorry. Nice try,
Yeah.
Lee. Okay, go on.
How about Krishna's calling? I mean, that there's a
yeah.
shirt.
That's it.
Krishna's call. I thought I had some good with the clarion call. Oh, you didn't like that one? No one
Clarion
wrote that
call.
down. I
Krishna's
was really on a
calling.
roll.
Let's hear what Mayor's got.
All right. Put some love in your life.
That's a T-shirt.
That's a song. That's a song.
Put a little love in your heart.
life.
Truth is eternal.
Truth is eternal.
All right. And
Krishna is calling.
Krishna. Oh, there it is. Krishna's calling.
Keep it high.
Keep it high.
Hi.
And keep churning the love.
Oh, there you go. Keep that's the shirt I would wear.
For every season, churn, churn, churn. There is a cowherd boy, churn, churn, churn. Oh, we did it
A
again.
time to
Another
churn,
morning with the
a
Bhagavatam.
time to herd, a time to...
A time to herd, a time to feed, a time to nurse, a time to weave.
You are
But it must
definitely an
have been
elderly
back
gopi. You are definitely an elderly gopi in Krishna's Leela, Raghunath. No doubt.
Time to nurse. Oh, thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for people joining us who were already with us yesterday live. Then they showed up here next day live. And thanks to all the people who just couldn't be here but wanted to be here. And thanks for all the people who just
I
randomly
don't want to
showed
be
up.
here. Thank you, too.
Thanks for Carla. The coach showed up yesterday. She showed up between the retreats. That was sort of a pleasure to see her there.
Oh, I didn't see
She's here
her.
live today. Yeah, she just sort of snuck in, snuck out.
Okay.
Uruguay was here cooking away, and Damana Priya was here, and who else was here? Not that Davey Health Coaching was not here. but she's here today. Good morning. Kristen
Hey.
Ryder was there for the kirtan.
It was wonderful to see her.
She's
And are people taking note of Radhanath's improved lighting? Look at him, right? It's improved lighting.
You like that? There's a new
Yeah.
Radhanath, and he's a little bit more pro.
Thanks to
Just because
Scuba.
Stuba gave me his professional
Yeah.
lighting, his professional lights.
I got mine. Mine's have to arrive today.
I've come a long way, Mara. Do you remember the old days where I had one lens in my glasses?
You
or
had one
it
lens
was
in your glasses.
taped
The
up,
glasses are.
missing an arm, doing it on my phone, knocking over a button.
Well, the
Your
point was
phone
that
would fall.
yeah, you would knock over your phone camera like 2 or 3 times each show back in the
What was
Yeah.
wrong with
Super
me?
Soul Sacred Sangha days.
I'm a hot mess express. And that's okay. That's the interesting thing. Krishna, there's no one too broken that Krishna won't accept you.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Write that down, Mara. We could use that for tomorrow. No one too broken that Krishna won't accept you. Matter of fact, Krishna's
Yeah.
filled with mercy. I'm a mercy case.
Just